Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to have you part of this particular session. It's a session whereby I get questions from agents and clients, and they say, hey, Stuart, we're looking to do this. We don't know how to do it. Could you give us some ideas? And this is really where the session starts to originate from. It's coming from questions, it's coming from comments. I start reading a lot of articles. I see some common elements that come through. And on the back of that, I then do a little bit of research and really start to think outside of the box to help you. Now, one of the big things that has come out is, Stuart, I need to get myself out there. I need to make sure that everyone knows who I am. How do I, and this is a term that I've started to phrase, how do I get more eyes on my business? And eyes on your business is really what you should be thinking of on an ongoing basis. The more eyes you have on your business, well, the more awareness you've actually got. So let's define your business. Your business is not about just selling a particular product. It's also offering a certain service. So you need to get your eyes onto both areas of that. And the area that we look at is your brand. You've got to get more eyes on your brand. Your brand being, wait for it, as a real estate agent, it's your face, it's your body, it's your posture, it's everything about you. So the question that comes in, how do I get more people to see me, more eyes on me? And that's where it all originated, was so many people that have reached out to me, and on the back of a previous session, how do we get more eyes on our business? So I'm going to share with you 5 different techniques that you can actually use. And each one of them, I've looked at it not at an extremely high level, not something where you're going to go, oh my gosh, I need to spend a huge amount of money to buy equipment, or I need to throw in a huge amount of money into marketing and ad spend to do all of that. I wanted to look at it from a point of view that it becomes cost effective. So the tools that you typically will use in this will basically be what you're walking around on an ongoing basis. There might be 1 or 2 small elements. So let's get into it and start looking at it. Now, the very first one, and this one here, in fact, is one that is used in multiple industries. And in my research, what I looked at was, I took a piece of art. I thought to myself, I'm an artist. I've just created this fantastic artwork. I want to sell that artwork. How do I get as many eyes on that artwork as possible? Because when it goes to auction, the more people that are aware of it, well, the higher the price will go up. That's where my research started to go from. So that's what happened behind the scenes. Now, I took that and I said, right, what's the very first thing that we could actually do? Well, the very first thing is leveraging social media. That's the most obvious area. It's the area that is the easiest. It's the area that is, in fact, is the cheapest. Yes, it does require a little bit of self-confidence, but that's actually called your authenticity. So what is it, and how can we actually leverage social media? Now, remember, we're trying to promote your brand. We're trying to promote you as that individual in the real estate space, or whatever space you're actually wanting to go through in. So what you need to do is you need to do something that really elevates you up. Now, one of the big things that's come out on social media and doing the research, doesn't matter what industry you're in, on social media, the highest level of engagement comes from videos. So videos is really the one that gets you a high level of engagement. Why? Because people stay longer. If you've just got words, well, someone's got to read it. If it's just got a static image, they'll see the image and then they swipe past it. But with the video, and it auto plays, it will then keep them engaged for a little bit longer. So I started looking at videos, and then suddenly there was something that jumped out at me. I prefer to watch these short videos as opposed to a 30-minute video. 30-minute video is kind of like a how-to. If I'm looking at loading a new software program, I'll follow it step by step. But the short videos keep me engaged, and even if it is only for about 30 seconds to 45 seconds, it holds me there for a time being where I go, oh, that was actually pretty cool. And then I'm looking for the next one. And that's where this particular point came in. It's leveraging social media to do the video shorts. Now, video shorts are very straightforward and simple. Basically, you can take your phone and you can do this. The next time you go to a property, take your phone out. You can actually have it facing at you, or you can actually have it facing outwards, because most of our mobile devices have cameras on either side. How amazing is that? But what you actually do is you create a property walkthrough, a small little tour, something that's just hearing your voice and actually going through. Now, it only needs to be from about the 20 seconds to 45 seconds. Keep it short and sweet. It could be something where you're talking about entertainment area. It could even be something where you're sitting on a lounge. Maybe you've got it facing yourself and you're actually saying, hey, we've got this massive property around us. It is absolutely, and you can actually just turn around so that you can see the property in the background. You're in the actual forefront. But these, what they refer to as shorts or reels, gets the highest level of engagement. Doesn't cost you anything. It's just self-confidence that you need to do it. So taking all of these, you can actually take it and actually create shorts and reels and posting it on social media and doing it on a regular basis. Now, you may not only be going through to properties, you could also be talking about, well, interest rates have gone down. Let's just do a quick little short. Hey, by the way, interest rates have just dropped, and you can do a quick little short and you go out and you post it. People tend to like that authenticity and have something that's engaging, not something that's very straight, boring, and flat. You could also be talking about the neighborhood. You could be walking in the streets and say it's an amazing neighborhood. It's actually got this park over here, and we can see an amount of people that are actually in the actual park itself. Or it could even be something, and this actually came up as an idea from someone in the US, and they do what they refer to as behind the scenes. So for instance, if you're actually going out to a property, you've got your photographer who's setting up their tripod, they're about to take a nice picture of maybe the lounge, stand behind them and actually go and say, when we're actually working behind the scenes, we actually take to the extra level. We've got our professional photographer here taking a picture of this lounge. And that's kind of like a behind the scenes. It gives a different perspective. Just get permission from your photographer just to make sure that they do have a attire on that's quite appropriate. But when it comes to leveraging social media, leverage the shorts and the reels. Have something that is between 25 and 45 seconds in that particular area. It's nice and short. You can create multiples of them. You can share them onto the likes of Instagram, YouTube, even Facebook has it, TikTok. And if you do that on an ongoing basis, you're going to start getting more eyes on you on a regular basis. And always have that little call to action. So that's the first one that I wanted to share with you, which is leveraging social media in a very strategic way that you can do, well, I'm going to say every single day. The second one is something that not many of us actually do. And I'm guilty of that. I did start it many, many years ago, but actually in doing the research, it started to re-engage myself. And that is actually showcasing yourself in the organic area. Now, what I mean by the organic area is when people go onto Google and they go and search for a property in a particular area, or maybe they just want to search who you are and things like that. There is a feature within Google called your business profile. It actually has something that actually starts to get you aware. When people search, you actually pop up. Now, you've seen that. You do a little search and you get these little blocks with maps. It has a name. It has even some reviews. It has actually the website contact number. And for most of us, we actually don't even think of going there. And it's something that I used to do many, many years ago. And actually in research, as I said, it's something that I'm now going to go back into actually doing it. Why? Well, we know that Google is one of the largest search engines around. Well, it is the largest search engine around. Everybody starts with Google. As much as we're using AI, we still start in the Google space and we start to actually search it. So go out, have a look at Google. Create that business profile. Make sure that it's got as much information as possible. Yes, it does have verifications that you've got to do because you can't just be anybody. But here's where it actually becomes so powerful. You want to go out and get testimonials from your clients. You want to get reviews from people around that you've been doing business with. But you want to share that information in the most authentic way. Well, your Google profile allows you to do that. You can actually say to someone, hey, by the way, if you enjoyed, please just leave me a review, leave me a testimonial, send them that particular link, and you start getting those ratings. The more ratings that you get, it starts to improve your rankings on Google. So when somebody searches, it starts jumping up. Now, you can be very specific in the location, which means if somebody Googles, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom house in this particular suburb, and you've actually identified yourself to be working in that suburb as a real estate agent in the property industry, you're suddenly going to find that your organic growth is going to happen. So, second one, well, I know that you can do that straight after actually watching this. Jump into actual Google and create that particular profile so that you can actually get yourself into that space. So the third one that I want to actually share with you is to start building a network or a community that you're actually working with. Now, this you can do on the social media platforms like Facebook. You can actually either create a group. It doesn't have to be specific to property. It's just a group of people maybe in a suburb. It could also be even a Facebook, a WhatsApp group that you're wanting to create. But ultimately what you want to do is you want to create an area where the community can start communicating with each other. Start getting feedback, start getting updates, whatever is happening in a particular area. It could even be a Facebook group that talks about one of your interests, for instance. Maybe you're a cyclist and you create this Facebook group and you're actually referring to cyclists and giving them updates of when you're going cycling, different events that are happening in the area, and you start inviting more and more people. You see, when it comes to building that network and that community, there's got to be some deep passion of yours, something inside of you that you enjoy, something that you get enjoyment from getting information from other people, and you can contribute to those particular posts. That particular community is very specific because it's got a common interest. However, it's that common interest that people have together that they will start giving referrals. When more and more people are aware, hey, you're a real estate agent that works in this particular area, but your common interest is roses, by the way. And we've got more and more people that have got roses and say, hey, just take pictures of your roses and share them in the group. And everybody starts to like and share and comment. You'll soon find that people always go, well, who's the administrator? Tell me you're not guilty of always clicking on to find out who actually controls this group. And when they find out who that person that controls it, you click on it and bam, they can start getting more eyes on you. So the third one is being in control of creating a network, a community that you can actually work towards. Now, it doesn't only have to be on social media. It could also be something that you do in person, something like a business networking, something where you're meeting maybe once a week, once a month, every second week. You could have this particular group. People are coming in, and all you do is you're standing up in front of them and doing a quick little intro, and people are starting to network. So it doesn't only have to be in the digital space, but it can also be in the in-person space if you're starting to create all of that. So that was the third one. It's that network and it's that community. It's being the leader in that particular environment so that people get to know who you are. So the fourth one is something that takes a little bit more time to actually do. It's something that we refer to as content marketing. Content marketing is all about doing research, taking that research and putting it into a particular format that people would like to read. So one of the biggest ones that you can actually do is market trends, property report, something like a quarterly type of review. Now, I used to do this many, many years ago as an agent, and it worked exceptionally well. Every quarter, I would actually go into Lightstone, was the portal that I used at that time. I would go into Lightstone, I would pick up the last 3 months of a particular suburb, the report, and I would actually have a look at that, and it would tell me how many sectional titles, how many freehold properties. It would give me the stats of how many properties actually sold. I could then compare that to what was sold in the last 12 months to see if there was any increase or decrease in quantities, averages, prices, etc., to give me some form of trend. Now, in that particular report, it took me probably about 2 hours to create the template because I really wanted it to be perfect. But then I would research that, and I would have that particular report. I would create the content, pull it out. And what was amazing is there was no AI in those days. Everything was done with real information, but I'm sure you could use a bit of technology to help you out. And with that particular report, I used to have it in two methods. The first was printed, put into an envelope, and I used to hand deliver it to certain individuals that I had spoken to that were interested. So in essence, I became the postman. I used to drop these ones off. And what was great about that was at many times, I used to give them a call and say, hey, by the way, I'm actually outside your property, or I'm going to be in the suburb at this time. Are you going to be home? I just want to drop off your property report that I do every single quarter. And that gave me an opportunity to go out and meet them. So the first one was I was the postman, printed out into an envelope. It had their details on the front. I used to only have about 15 or 16 of them that I used to go out and personally deliver, and they used to love it. They used to open it, they used to read it, and they would always be looking for it. And that came at every quarter. The second method is on a newsletter, speaking to people and say, hey, would you like to be part of my newsletter? I actually do this little report and I'd love to share it out with you. Now, that particular audience, I grew it up to about 600 people that actually would get that email. And the engagement wasn't as great, but it did create an awareness and people used to connect with me. Now, both have their pros, and they're very different to each other. The pro of having it printed out and hand delivering it, I got to meet them face to face. And in that conversation, being face to face, I would always talk about the property. I'd always find out if there was someone in the area. And almost out of those 15, 16 that I used to deliver, I used to get 2 to 3 leads of people that were potentially looking at either buying or selling. And that would then get those numbers and I would make contact with those individuals. Whereas the pros on the newsletter, the email that used to go out, that would go out to particular clients. I would be able to add additional links of properties that are just listed, properties that are just sold, and anything else that I could add as a particular link into it, social media links, etc. So two had very different methods, and I used both to create that content marketing and build that awareness. So this one I personally used. I loved it. It's good old fashioned. It does take time. So this is something that you can actually do, and it really builds up that audience. Then the last one, and this one here, this is what we would typically call a unicorn approach. A unicorn approach is something that you create that goes viral. Okay. Now, what I mean by goes viral, suddenly you post it and everybody is sharing it, everybody's liking, everybody's commenting on it. And the reason why it's a unicorn type of approach is, well, they're very rare. But when they do happen, it explodes. and everybody gets to know who you are. Now, the only way that you can do this unicorn approach is you've got to create some form of content on post on an ongoing basis. So when we look at everything that I've shared with you, there's so much that you can actually be doing on an ongoing basis. You're doing your property tours, those short little reels. Maybe you're doing the content marketing. Maybe you're doing something that is doing it for your community and your network. You're actually starting to build all of this up. There'll be that post that suddenly goes viral. And the only way that that happens is if you're doing it on an ongoing basis. You've got to set yourself up with a cadence of every single day. And typically they say, and I know this is the scariest results, out of 300 posts that you would put on Facebook or social media, 300 posts, the chances are only one of them would be half a unicorn. Now, what do we mean by half a unicorn? It's a horse. It's a horse without the horn. It's one that gets a bit of engagement. It has a bit of an increase, but it doesn't go through the roof. If you're wanting to have that unicorn, it actually says 1 out of 10,000 posts that go out becomes that unicorn. And I'm talking the one that hits that ridiculous number of viewership or engagement on sites. But we want to walk with something that's a little bit lower. So 300 posts, you get yourself half a unicorn. Now, the only way that you can do that is you have to be posting on a regular basis, ongoing to actually start to bring all of that up. And how do we get these particular engagement? How do we create these unicorn posts? Well, one of the big areas that you've got to start looking at is asking questions, doing comparisons. These are the ideas. So for instance, this one was shared. I was in a training, I'm going to say about 5-6 years ago. And the trainer said, if you're going to go onto social media, why not do something like this? And this was a comparison example. If you go into a house and you suddenly see that they've got these curtains, and these curtains look a certain almost design. You take a picture of the curtains, but then you're looking for a celebrity that may wear a dress that looks kind of similar to the curtain. And you take that particular picture, and then you put them next to each other, and you say, who chose the idea? Was it the celebrity choosing the dress, or was it the homeowner choosing the curtains based on the dress? And you can have something that actually starts to play around with that. So that's something of a comparison as you're starting to go through. You can ask questions, you can do polls, all of these different ideas that helps you. Before and after pictures are great ways of actually doing something. Going into a person's property, before you stage a kitchen, taking a picture of it, cleaning everything up, taking the after picture, and then sharing that and saying, hey, here's a before, here's an after. This is what we do. You see, it's creating something that's outside of the actual box. It's something that gets people engaged, but you want to get them highly engaged. Something where they share and say, well, that was actually quite funny. I actually want to share that with somebody else. And I'm sure you've done it yourself. You read something, you say, that was cool. I'll comment on it, or I'll share that, or I'll like that. It's those posts that starts to get the engagement. Now, that high level of engagement, guess what? More eyes come on you. So those were the 5 that I wanted to share with you today. So the very first one is leveraging your social media, doing those little shorts and those reels where you go through the particular property, and it could be market reports, it could be basically anything. Remember, the behind the scenes is always a great one. That could also create into viral. Showcasing yourself in that digital space, that's that Google business profile that you're wanting to up, and you want to make sure that you're using it to an absolute maximum. The next one, the third one, was the networking and the community, having something where you're the leader, whether it's in a Facebook group, so the digital space, or something where you're doing it in the in-person space, where you're having people that actually come around. The fourth one is that content marketing. I used to do those property reports, but again, you'll see that there is a little bit of a trend that I go through. I do it in person and I do it digitally. I hit both mediums because I hit a wider audience with all of that. So the fourth one was that content marketing, something that you can give out and have some form of cadence where people, they want it. So when it comes out, they say, hey, is it ready? And you go from there. And then the last one, it's that virality. It's creating some form of content that can actually go viral. We commonly call it the unicorn. Having something that you post that suddenly people go, hey, that was pretty cool. And this is doing it with comparisons. It's doing it with polls. It's doing it with before or after type of pictures. It's doing something that maybe you get to a property and you go, what is this? And take an extreme close-up of that. Put it in the comment below. Tell me what this is. If you walk through a property and suddenly they've got one of these old gizmos and gadgets that opens up a tin can from, I don't know, some crazy method, but you don't know what it is, take a picture of it, pop it onto social media and say, hey, I was walking through this particular property and I saw this. Who knows what it is? Let me know in the comments below. These are the type of ideas that creates those engagements as you're going through. So this was all about how to get those eyes on your business so that when you get more and more people that see you, more and more people start to engage with you, you'll actually find that your business starts to grow in that organic way. These are simple methods. And as you can see, I try to keep it down where it doesn't cost you anything. It might just be a little bit more of your time to do a bit of research, to get those templates together, just to get those ideas, the self-confidence, the belief in yourself. That's pretty much all that is required. And that's what I wanted to do in this particular session, because getting eyes on you, getting your eyes on your business shouldn't cost you a lot of money. It should be something where people want to put eyes on you. People want to engage with you. You're not forcing it by saying, here's an advert, which you've paid for, and you're pushing it into their face. You want to have that organic, because once it becomes natural, the chances of that individual sharing your details with somebody else or talking about you is much higher. So that was keeping your eyes on your particular business and seeing how you can actually grow in that particular organic way. Now, this was a fantastic session because I actually enjoyed doing a bit of research. It took me back in time. I'm hoping that you actually enjoyed it. And if you did, pop it in comments below, because I'd love to know your thoughts, your ideas. What have you done that's actually got more eyes on your business? Share it with the community. Share it with the people that will actually read it. And if you liked it, share it with somebody else, because I'm sure they will see a way to help them in their particular business. So from myself, Stuart, this was a fantastic session. I cannot wait until the next one that comes out. So where does it come from? Again, send me a message, pop it in the comments, or just say, hey, Stuart, this is what I'd love to learn. And I will go behind the scenes, do the research, and do a session just like this so that you can better your business. So from myself, Stuart, you have an absolute fantastic day further, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.